in I guess sort of celebration of Poxus's arrival, Emil has put together a faction focus for us, dealing with not Poxus, but Poxus's sworn enemy, right? Emil, actually, I think he'll educate us on this. So yeah, faction focus is always fun, and Emil, take it away, man.
Thank you. So let's start with a faction focus for this time. And short background story. I think I'm gonna remove that
We need
logo
background
up in the
music for this.
corner.
We need a soft background music for this.
A soft background music. Yeah, let's do that next time.
Something instrumental.
Yeah, very soothing. Sorry, go ahead.
So starting off with the two great gods, Helios and Selene, the great beings who created mythos when they were alone and restless. They created the world, but Selene fell in love with her creation. And Helios got envious and so created the dark forces. So, since Selene's beautiful creatures were unprepared for war and fighting altogether, Helios' forces were kind of like destroying everything. So, she created the four great beasts, and the big war was fought. To fight against the forces of Poxus, we have the Convocation of Bassylia. And this is the Convocation of Bassylia. And it is a very interesting creature we have here. The great beast.
A winged
of the
snake.
snake with the wings. I do wonder if one day we will have this action figure.
A winged snake. That would be interesting. You know, it's a winged snake seems like it could be very evil.
Yeah, but you also have to see that snake stands for healing. And in Christianity at least,
Snake does?
Yeah, look at the pharmaceutical symbols here in Sweden at least. We have the snake.
Yes,
I thought that was a noodle.
I believe
that's a noodle. Okay, it's not a noodle. Anyway, this is actually the first time I see this. In the snake, we have eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Multiple sets of eyes.
Yeah, but it's like a head over there.
Right.
Anyway, here we have the map of Mythos, the world, as we know it in the universe that we're playing with. And down here to the left, we have the landmass of Ophidion. Let's zoom in. Ophidion, this is where the Convocation of Bassylia is defending the world from Poxus and his armies. We have some facts I want to stand before we go into each characters that I want to address. First of all, the Convocation of Bassylia, they are the masters of the magical arts. This is a very strong faction, but it's not as numerous as many of the other factions. And this is an important location, I would say. The mystical stronghold atop Evergrey Mountains. And looking at the map, I would say that this could be the Tower of Bassylia. It's not written in the same sentence, but I would guess that Tower of Bassylia is around this great stronghold. And the origin of most members of the Convocation is shrouded in mystery. So many of the characters, we don't know their whole of their background.
Sure.
So the stronghold here, I would say that this is the place where they're amassing all the power to defend off Poxes. Here they have the fueled energy. I would say kind of like an energy shield or something to hold the darkness away. And this is interesting. We have 9 characters in the Convocation and
Okay.
8 different roles. I mean, in many other factions, we have like 5 fighters or 10 or 12 knights or whatever. But here we have 8 roles on 9 characters. There's one of these roles that are occupied by two different characters. And I just wanted to make sure that we have here the spellcaster, we have wizards, mage, sorcerers, paladin, shaman, necromancer, and relic hunter. And I just wanted to start by shortly giving somewhat of a difference between all of these. Just so we have something.
Okay.
Because we know that they're all spellcasters in one way or another. Right?
Okay.
And the spellcaster is actually the role of someone capable of using magic. It's a pretty generic magic role, I would say. The wizard. Here I've just written the word study. One thing that would significate a wizard is that you have studied to get the knowledge to do your magic. And I'm gonna say this, I'm being very general here. There are, as many different ways to go into details, and this doesn't fit in here, or this doesn't fit in here, but I'm making a broad view of this so we can discuss it later. So the wizard, they acquire their magic powers from studying, like Harry Potter, the Harry Potter world. They study to become wizards, or they are wizards, but they study to learn their things. One thing that is a wizard is there are no female wizards. But the word mage is kind of like a neutral name that includes both male and female characters. But they acquire their knowledge in the same way, by studying and learning their spells. So I guess you would say a wizard and a witch, and the generic name would be a mage. Then we go with the sorcerer. The big difference between a sorcerer is generally that instead of mainly getting their powers through studying, they have their powers within themselves. So it's like an innate power that they have. And of course they can train and become better and everything like that, but it starts from here.
Okay.
The paladin is, like we've talked about in the past, it's a holy warrior. It's a knight who knows spells in one way or another. And the paladin, they have their powers from a divine source, like a god entity, or
Wait, I have a question.
Shoot.
I thought that paladins were in they didn't have magical powers.
Oh, they can have. There are holy warriors devoted to a cause, but many paladins know magic in the way of healing spells, or maybe resurrecting their friends, or healing on the battlefield. So they fight, and at the same time they can protect themselves with spells, and they can heal their friends.
Oh, okay.
They don't have to. So they're kind of like paladin have some cleric spells, I would say, like healer magic and defensive magics. And also to enhance their weapons to become stronger in general.
Can a mouse be a sorcerer, or can it only ever be an apprentice?
It can only be an apprentice.
Okay.
No, just moving on to the shaman, who gets a lot of their powers through spirits. They talk to spirits. They conjure magic through the spirit world. And they work with nature but I would say even more to the nature aspect would be if you're turning, towards the druid. But shamans tend to use magic through spirits and nature. And then we have the necromancer.
Can I bring up a point though? I'm sorry.
Sure.
So on shooting the shelf, as our friend Curtis is bringing up right here, he did ask that question because I think I was the one that asked that it be asked. And Eric did say that paladins and mythic legions do not have magic. They are just holy knights.
Yeah. That's right.
Just saying. Okay.
But
All
we
right,
have
I'm
a
sorry.
pointer in general what a paladin is. So I want to bring that up. And we have talked about all the knights, but the paladin in this faction differs a lot from the other paladins we've talked about in the past. Okay.
All right.
And I still want to leave that door open for what a paladin is. We're talking about the magic users of mythos here.
Okay.
The necromancer are using dead. Well, you raise the dead, talk to the dead, bring their powers, manipulate the dead, talk to the dead about the future, about the past, learn about things through communication with the dead. And then we have the last role here, which is one character who is a relic hunter. And I wouldn't say that that is a specific magic user class. I just wanted to write it down here, so I included all the roles from this faction. But that's a very, very specific for this character, I would say. Any questions?
Nope. Let's go on. I want to see how these
Yes.
apply to the characters.
I was wondering if a necromancer is do they dance?
No, they romance.
Oh, okay.
I thought that they romance dead people into living again.
That's kind of where I was getting at. Like first you dance and then you romance.
The shamans dance.
Maybe you
The
take a chance.
necromancers rest. Not just.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If a necromancer would do a dance, would it be kind of like very stiff?
Like a goth kid?
Yes.
Okay. The ones
See,
that hung out under the
we
bleachers?
could use illustrations on these, like a goth kid, and but we will have characters for these roles. So let's move on. Here is the chart of our 9 characters from the Convocation of Bassylia. The leader of the faction, Hera, serpent, Spire. The sorcerers and archmage of the Convocation. She is known for being, well, stoic and have an intimidating presence, but she's also famous for her compassion and empathy. And this is the foundation from how she kind of leads the whole faction. Interesting. I'm going to read this right up from her bio. She's possessed of mystical powers that are possibly greater than those of any other living being. And we can just speculate on what the being is, who has granted her that power. If it is Bassylia herself, or Hera's serpent Spire is one of the most powerful allies in the fight against evil. So here we have the leader.
Awesome.
And this is a character you like, right, Steven?
Yes, I've always thought this character was really cool looking and fun.
Yeah, it's a beautiful character.
Yeah, I want her in my collection. As a faction leader, maybe it's... Could we see a 2.0 somewhere? I don't know what it would be to change because I think she's beautiful, but anyway. Moving on to the dwarf. And dwarves are not generally known for using magic. That is in a lot of fantasy lore. that the dwarves are not friends of magic. We have Jorund Runeshaper, who is a mage, and he's a harnesser of the natural elements. What you can say about him is that he's brought his knowledge and his experiences through his life to become a really good mentor to others. We talked about 2 weeks, or no, 4 weeks ago, we talked about the faction of Etheron. And there we had Sir Andrew, the pyromancer. And Joran, he picked him up as a kid when he was crying and he had just, killed his family because he couldn't harness his powers. And Joran picked him up and helped him.
So is this also our relic searcher guy? Because didn't you say he looks for things or something? Did I miss him? Okay, never mind. Must have misheard something.
And of course, we can all go in and read the full bios. And I would really recommend everyone who is interested in getting deeper into the lore to read the full bios of everyone. Moving on to Balam, who is the second mage. And he is said to have great ties with the beasts of the first age. It doesn't say how, just as that he is. That he has these ties and his magic is ancient. It also talks about his ability to communicate with animals and to use their powers. The big stronghold we were talking about on top of Evergrey Mountains, he has been a big part about building that or putting that power into place. That is driving that mystical force that is taking, defending the lands from Poxus.
Okay.
I also want to say that you see all of these characters are kind of like spread out. When we usually do like a hierarchy of the leader and we have the second in command, what we know about the Convocation of Bassylia is that Hera is the leader, and then there is no one who is said to be the second in command or something like that. Not yet.
Isn't a convocation? What is it? I wonder what the word convocation means. To me, in my mind, it's like a council or something. It's a group that, So I wonder if they're more like. Knights of the Round Table, She's the leader. I don't know. I'm just talking gibberish, but
yeah. Well, I would assume that, like a gathering.
Yeah.
The gathering around Bassylia. Of Bassylia.
A large assembly of people.
Mm-hmm.
The action of calling people together for a large formal assembly.
And so that is one interesting thing. Well, you said something more?
Well, I'm just saying, if these people are all assembled for a cause, and that's why it's a convocation of these people, then I would assume these people are from all over the place. I mean, they're all different. You've got a lot of diversity here. You got a dragon, you got a cat guy, you got a dwarf, and there's a lot of, there's even an orc in this one, so we know that's coming too. So yeah, it is kind of like it kind of fellowship, like you said. It kind of is like a bunch of group of people coming together for something.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, I think they're like a representation from different groups throughout Mythos. Then they come together to like decide on magical things, like the laws of magic being broken, or we need to face this problem that's coming and only we can do it. Let's work together, type of thing.
It's interesting that the convocation is what is defending. We know that the 4 evil factions have 4 good factions that are fighting them. It's interesting to start to speculate how Poxus is also, that's the biggest magic threat towards Mythos, So we have to gather the best of the best from the world. Moving on to Samir Scrollwarder. And he is a wizard. And he is also the keeper of the great library of Agbendor. I don't know where on the map where Agbendor is. But, he is also like one of the other, like all of the others. He is also a strong warrior when it comes to using his powers. But his main job, if we're going to have something to remember him by, is to be the protector of the text of the library in Agbendor.
Yeah,
I just want to comment here. I want to give a little help, maybe, to somebody in the comments. TGRM says, I can't get his belt to snap on and stay on. Well, here's what I did. I took a butter knife, with a non-Sharpie knife, and I stuck it in there when I stuck it behind the belt on the figure, so it gives you a hard surface to press against, and I pressed it together and it popped in. Not saying it's going to work, just try it if you haven't already.
Well, here's what will work. If you're now, the butter knife would be the easier, lazier method. But because I did tell Steven this, I did tell you this like 2 weeks ago. Needle nose pliers. Like the small craft type, any type. Like Steven just said, you basically need a hard surface on both sides to press together. And then that sucker, you can like repel him off of the building. It's so tight. Yeah, show him, Steve. He's got it. You kind of like, if you play with it first off of the figure and do it, you'll see. And then when you get it on, it's like boom, and you're done. It's like you're in that zone. The zone. Yeah, Jarrell's saying tweezers too. Anything that's going to give you a hard double surface.
Anyway, sorry, Emil. Didn't mean to.
Sorry, buddy.
I think that's a good. Let's address all of these things because it's probably when someone asks anything about the figures, it's it's probably more than one who is wondering that.
Right. And my theory is if you tell one person, hopefully they tell 2 more people, and then everyone knows, and then it doesn't become a thing where, it's an issue.
Like how to attach the capes. That's something from the past. Moving on to Ravina. Here we have the Relic Hunter. And Ravina is still one of those figures that I just think looks fantastically badass. I just love everything about how this character is created. Story-wise, if we go to who she is one of the only survivors of an attack led by Vorgus Vermilius. And we know Vorgus from the brood of Lithia's brood. The vampire's armor that consumes his, the wearer and brings power to him, but, death and destruction around him. So, she was saved, I guess you could say, or it says she was taken after that to a sect loyal to the Order of Aetheron. So taken or saved, she was taken in by this sect. But at the same time, she was really obsessed with having vengeance on Vorgus. So she wanted to start looking for all these different relics that could aid her, give her more power to defeat Vorgus. That was like was driving her. And Aetheron's, this sect, they couldn't have it. So she was expelled from there and eventually ended up here. And don't know much about her magic powers.
I think it's kind of funny how Vorgus was the fan choice, the fan built voted character on for 1.0, and she is the fan created character for Advent of Decay, and then they made them kind of like enemies of each other. I just noticed the connection between that.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot, and I would recommend people to read more about the fan favorites early on. It actually says that she was trained to be a cleric, so when it comes to healing powers and stuff like that, she's probably helpful, and that must be one of the reasons how she ended up in Bassylia, because being here without the magic powers kind of feel like she's out of place. And this weapon that she's wearing or wielding, it always felt a little bit weird to me, but it fits her perfectly being a relic hunter. And you can just imagine where she has gotten that relic and how that will help her to defeat Vorgus at one time in the future.
I always liked her because of that black bodysuit underneath, which I thought was just a really cool element of the figure. Just kind of neat,
Yeah.
you know? You don't really see that often.
She is an example of a figure that I didn't really care for until I got it in hand.
I agree.
Okay.
Same. Yeah, that black bodysuit just is neat. It's a different look. I thought it was cool. I like it. And she's like Lara Croft.
Is she? Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Relic Hunter, I get you.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Here we go. As a spirit bender, the necromancer. And when we did the female tier list, I don't remember where she placed.
Lower than I wanted her to, because I think this figure is awesome.
Same.
And I don't think I was one of the one who voted her too high. But the more I've been looking at her, I don't own the figure. The more I've been looking at her this, past week or so, I'm like, she's really badass. It's
probably Trevor. He probably did it. Or Curtis. It's probably one of those two. Bunch of dummies.
Well, tell us about Azah.
Elsa, she has the power. She's a necromancer. The power to control and harness the spirits of the dead. Doesn't sound too kind and friendly, does it?
Nope.
No, she's really not like the other mages and wizards from the Convocation. She is really something that, some of the other mages are looking at her and like, should she really be here? Isn't she a little bit out of place? They don't know much about her. She has the cryptic markings. Nobody knows where they're from or why she's having them. The conclusion, though, is that everyone feels like it's better to have her among us than against us. So that's why she's still around, I guess.
I could see where she could be a really cool character in a story because, maybe she's the one that everybody's kind of not too sure about, and then she's all like, I don't know, like the Wolverine of the group, maybe in the beginning when, I wonder, you're not sure whether she might go berserk or she might not, kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of could be like if we have them together here, like Hera is guiding her, hoping, maybe like Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon Jinn, and she is Anakin, like hoping that she doesn't turn to the dark side altogether.
Yeah.
Well, the undead don't have to be bad. What if she brought back my Meemaw? That wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't think that Meemaw would be evil and fight, the good guys. What if she brought back heroes, like dead heroes, to help?
Well, still have the respect of the magics about what is good or bad. But we can go into details with that, and I'm sure others have a lot of theories about that. But a necromancer is in generally someone who is stepping, over the boundaries of what is good or bad. But anyway, she's here. Let's move on to the first dragon of Mythic Legions, Arakagor, the Paladin. Which, does he have healing powers or magic powers or anything like that? We don't know. I'm just leaving it open still because he is a dragon. And there are many different races or variations of dragons in mythos. This is the first one, and considered to be, like a cousin when it comes to the bigger ones that we might see someday.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say something about the thing with paladins and not using magic. We have this sentence here. Okay, because this is interesting. This is another race that we've not seen before this, the Dragosur. Like their dragon cousins, these mystical beings have close ties to otherworldly energies, which often steer these towering warriors toward magical practices. So I want to keep that door open to say that he might know some magical stuff. Maybe some, that's what I'm saying.
Says it in his bio that it's possible, right?
Yes, I'm gonna say I'm just reading from the bio. And one of the figures that I was most looking forward to getting in hand.
He's
Yeah.
awesome. See, I thought because he was big that he had big magic.
Ah, okay. Well, he has big muscles, so he's strong.
Does size
And
matter with magic? Or does size matter not with magic?
Size matters not.
says
Okay.
Joran.
All right. Sorry.
Okay.
Judge me by my size, do you?
Oh.
Well, here we have another big guy, and here we have the shaman. Working between the spirit realms before, between the mortal world and the spirit world. Classic shaman style with mystical skills. He was, I wouldn't say that he was part of the faction of Aether, but he was definitely in there by Urxa's side when the forces of Aether wanted to, include or take over, taking charge of all the orcs. They kind of saw him like one who's siding with Urxa, so he wasn't that popular among the ones who wanted to bring all the orcs into the legions. It says like this: inspired by Urxa's desire for orcish freedom, Tharnog relocated himself and offered to wield his gifts for a righteous fight. Here in the Convocation by the side of Hera.
I think
So
that's
it's
cool.
big,
Yeah, that's really cool.
I always love the idea when you have taking a classically bad or classically good character and then flipping them into the other side. I think that's always because they've seen the light or because there's some reason for it. I think that's always a fun bit of a storyline for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. And here we have the last from the Convocation, Sendi Amanthir. So he's a spellcaster. So I would say that he's there's not much details about his power besides being a strong spellcaster. Interesting thing about him in his bio is that he is from the lands beyond the shores of Mythos. So the interesting thing with him is that they actually say, I know Eric Treadaway has talked about this in the past, but his bio really says that there is a world and there are other continents, I think that's very, very interesting.
Yeah. I heard that they come in the final chapter to kind of like make it a little more perilous for the heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forget it.
So, of course, knowing this is the faction, 9 characters so far. I would assume we'll be seeing a lot more, but it's like we said, I love the variation. I always like when there are different characters of size and But in this faction, we only have 9 characters, and they're so different. We have 4 humans here, and the other 5, so it's like they're different races. It's very interesting. That, my friends, is the faction focus of Convocation of Bassylia.